As the 1960s unfolded, America was changing, and Ray Kroc was changing with it. The nation's appetite for speed, convenience, and uniformity mirrored the system he had built, and with every new franchise he opened, the empire's grip grew stronger. Kroc understood something few others did: the power of standardization. Each restaurant, no matter how distant from Illinois, would operate the same way, cook the same way, serve the same way. The golden arches were no longer just a symbol. They were a promise of predictability, of comfort, of a perfect experience delivered with mechanical precision. But behind the smiles of the employees and the cheerful jingles playing on radios, there was a machinery of control that few saw. Kroc demanded obedience. Every franchisee was bound by strict contracts. Every ingredient, every process dictated to ensure that no deviation could tarnish the brand. The system was efficient, profitable, and unyielding. And in his pursuit of perfection, Kroc began to wield power in ways that were subtle but absolute. Franchisees who resisted were warned, pressured, and sometimes replaced. The McDonald brothers had once been the innovators, proud of their kitchen assembly line, but Kroc had turned innovation into replication. The original dream of a small, efficient restaurant had become a blueprint for domination. The golden arches stretched higher, and with them, the shadows grew longer. Kroc's empire was more than burgers. It was influence, control, and wealth that spread silently into every community it touched. Cities welcomed the bright signs and convenient service, but few questioned the cost. As McDonald's grew, Kroc became a master of negotiation, a man who could charm, intimidate, and persuade in the same breath. He bought real estate strategically, ensuring that his franchises were located in high-traffic areas while restricting competition in subtle, legal ways. He created a system where the company profited not only from sales, but from the rent and royalties collected from franchisees. His vision was genius, but it was also relentless, a network of control hidden beneath the familiar red and yellow. Meanwhile, the McDonald brothers had faded into the background, their names attached to an empire they no longer commanded. They had created something extraordinary, yet Kroc's ambition had overshadowed them, proving that in business, the one with the vision to expand relentlessly often becomes the one remembered. Yet as the empire grew, so too did the ethical shadows. Stories began to emerge of franchisees struggling to meet Kroc's exacting standards, of pressure and stress masked by the cheerful veneer of fast food. Employees worked under rigid schedules, taught to move like clockwork, to deliver perfection, while being paid modestly for their labor. The very system that had promised efficiency and success for the many became a machine that demanded sacrifice from those inside it. Kroc himself became a symbol of relentless ambition, a man who understood that vision alone was not enough. One had to act, to enforce, to control. And so, McDonald's expanded across state lines, across the nation, spreading like a quiet, golden tide that reshaped the American landscape. With every new city, every new town, the empire became more than a collection of restaurants. It became an institution, a force that influenced culture, diet, and commerce. And in that influence, there was power, subtle, and absolute. Kroc's story is a lesson in ambition, in the dark side of vision. He was not a villain in the traditional sense, but a man whose desire for control and expansion left an indelible mark on the world. The McDonald brothers' dream had been simple, fast, clean, and efficient. Kroc's vision transformed it into something monumental, unstoppable, and yes, darker in its implications. By the late 1960s, the empire had grown so large that it touched every corner of America, every highway, every city street, every suburb. The golden arches were everywhere, a symbol of convenience and American prosperity, but also of the quiet and seen machinery of power that Kroc had built. And behind it all was a single, driving force: ambition, relentless, and unapologetic. In every franchise, in every advertisement, in every menu, the echo of Kroc's strategy was there. Efficiency at any cost, expansion without mercy, control over all who participated in the system. It was a formula that ensured success, but also cast long shadows. Shadows that stretched into labor practices, employee treatment, and the subtle manipulation of a nation's habits and desires. McDonald's was no longer just a restaurant. It was a mirror of ambition, a reflection of the power of one man's vision, and a reminder that behind every empire, there are decisions made in quiet rooms, strategies formed in silence, and consequences that ripple far beyond the original dream. The story of Ray Kroc's expansion, the story of the American dream, darkened by obsession, shaped by persistence, and driven by a desire that was greater than any single burger, greater than any family's vision, greater than the golden arches themselves. It is a story that forces us to ask difficult questions. How far would you go for success? How much do we sacrifice in pursuit of efficiency? And in the end, who truly benefits, and who quietly bears the cost? The rise of McDonald's was more than a business story. It was a human story, a story of ambition, control, and the quiet, almost invisible power that can reshape a culture, a society, even a nation, one restaurant at a time. Because, in the end, it was never about the burgers. It was about power, about control, about the hunger that never fades even after the world is fed. Ray Kroc didn't just build a restaurant. He built a mirror, one that reflects our own appetite for more. And maybe that's the real secret behind the golden arches. Not what they serve, but what they represent. A world where ambition never stops eating.